just putting away the heaviness of understanding the technical side of this topic, अगर simple terms में बोला जाए, so why do we need design thinking in our life?
As I said, life is too important to not think about it seriously. We cannot sleepwalk through our life, because if we do not take control of our decisions, what will happen? Somebody else will take control of our decisions. That somebody can be your spouse, your children, your parents, your supervisor, your neighbor, your government. Somebody will take up. So I think it's very critical that you start thinking about your choices more consciously. ये मैं जो सोच रहा हूँ क्यों सोच रहा हूँ? John Dewey once very famously said that we don't learn from experience. Humans, we don't learn from experience. We learn from reflecting on the experience. हमने कोई चीज करी, उससे हमें समझ नहीं आएगा, लेकिन जब हम उसके बारे में सोचेंगे कि ये मैंने क्यों किया, ये मैं क्यों बोला ऐसा, ये मैंने ऐसा क्यों सोचा, तब मुझे समझ में आएगा कि हाँ मैंने ऐसा क्यों किया और मुझे ऐसा करना चाहिए या ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए. So the more important thing is thinking. For example, 400 years back, the humans were strong enough to do physical labor. Now, if I ask this question to my audience, if I compare you with your parent, your father, for example, or your father with his father, you would realize that after every generation, physically we have become weaker. Our parents were far more physically strong. Our grandparents were even more strong physically than what we are today. It's because the environment in which they had to survive needed that physical hardship. So we have become weak physically. No doubt about that. We cannot have so much of walking, lifting, etc. that our forefathers used to do. That is evident. So what are that? So machines have taken up physical labor away from us. Machine has taken up this intellectual labor away from us, which means that the only thing that machine cannot take away from us are two things: emotional intelligence and creativity. Machines have not taken emotional intelligence and creativity away from us, or compassion and creativity. And that's the reason why we have to have a uniqueness as a human being for us. And that comes only when you spend a good amount of time about thinking about your thinking. And that's how you refine yourself as a person, both on your professional and the personal spheres.
Wonderful. With your thoughts, my questions won't stop. That is for sure. But I'll take a quick pause, and my audience deserves quick round of applause in terms of the involvement here. So the forum is now open for the audience to frame and ask your thoughts and questions for Dr. Soni. So I would like from the audience, only thing is keep the question short so we can cover maximum and squeeze out the maximum from him. Audience time, please. We are open now. Yes, anyone coming from the audience? Warm-up time, anybody? So there is one question from Ms. Prachi Thakur, and that is, how can design thinking help the students? And I'll just add to it, how can design thinking help students, professionals, and who are people who are already through with their careers?
Yeah. So as a student, I think you are in a very, very interesting times. I would not say complex time, I would not say difficult time, but I would call it interesting time. And couple of reasons why the current environment is very interesting. The first thing is that for the very first time, perhaps at least in India, entrepreneurship is becoming a legitimate choice. 20, 30 years back, entrepreneurship was not a legitimate choice, especially if you're a first generation entrepreneur. If you have to go back and run your parents' business, then I don't think there is any choice, but then that's a default. Or if you are doing something, then it is construed as that you did not get a good job and that's why you're doing a business. But today, you can actually start a business because we have role models in India. We have a very good environment for funding, both from the venture capitalists, angel investors, and small finance institutions. And the third thing is Customer are becoming more experimentative. We are becoming so experimentative that we can order food which we are taking from an anonymous person, delivered by anonymous person, right? It is unthinkable, cooked by anonymous person, isn't it? All using an app, and we do not even talk to a human being in the entire process. That's the amount of trust that consumers, I'm not talking of technological savvy consumers, all the consumers are having on technology in India. Okay, I'm not talking of US, in India. So this is a great time to start business. But the hint is that as a student, I don't advocate you to start a business straight away. Don't do that. I always suggest that you should work for at least 2 to 3 years after your studies, and don't take studies lightly, because you may assume ki if I have to do a business, how does my marks really matter? If I have to anyways do a business, how does my college matter? No, it matters a lot. Tomorrow when an investor knocks on your door, when you have to raise money from an investor, they will definitely be keen to understand how you have been as academically, which institute you graduated from. That really matters a lot. So don't take your studies casually. Okay. So 2 to 3 years of work experience is very useful before you start a business of your own. And in these 2 to 3 years, you would get to understand that are you really cut out to do a business, or you are better off being an employee? Which industry, what problem would you like to start with? And you develop professional network who can possibly be your co-employees, co-founders, or investors going forward. So I think this is a great time to be a student, and I'm trying to be a student myself as I'm teaching more and more students. But I think the opportunities available to you today are better than any time in the future or in the past.
Thank you. There are two questions